Grace and peace. Welcome to another episode of the TBT Show. I'm Anthony Moten. My friend and brother and partner in crime, as always, is the Right Reverend Elder Shawn P. Aguilar. Shawn, how are you, bud?
Man, you already know what it is. It's still the same.
Man, and you know what? It's
better
only,
than I deserve.
Yeah, and it's only boring because it's always the same.
Well, I'm sorry, buddy. Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever.
But he didn't say the same thing.
Hey,
Reverend say something different.
I'm just telling you.
Listen, for those that are listening, I can call Shawn on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. Just, hey, Shawn, how are you? He's going to respond better than I deserve.
Yep. Find out. Then we can get on with the rest of the conversation. Now that that's out the way.
Right.
You know.
Right. Well, I'm doing good. How about that?
Good.
Day's going great, buddy.
That's good.
He said,
and that was so scintillating.
Hey, listen, thank you for joining us this week. Man, there's a lot of things that are going on, that are happening, and there's a few things that I wanted to discuss, and we'll have some further dialogue about some other things. But I definitely wanted to have an opportunity to have some healthy discussion concerning some things. So, Shawn, where you want to start? If you want me to, I'll throw out my concerns.
Hey, you can start wherever you want to start, Reverend. You can start wherever you want to start.
And let me say,
you're
this.
chomping at the bit, so I don't want to stand in the way.
No, I'm just confused, and I'm gonna say this because it's not a point of I know in our culture, anytime anyone questions anything, then we'll automatically categorize that as he's hating. Mm-hmm. Not hating, just confused. I'm trying to figure it out. So, without just outright calling names, and I guess we could to give some clarity to it. And again, it's not hating, so please don't send those emails. Mm-hmm. I'm just concerned, right? So, in different areas of concentration, I will listen to your advice if I feel like your experience lends itself to having some experiential knowledge to share to enlighten me or encourage me or educate me in a certain area. Mm-hmm. But if you have no experiential knowledge in that, then why? Listen, I do a whole bunch of things. I don't run a business. Mm-hmm. I don't work in any kind of business drive. Mm-hmm. Why would I be a part of a business conference? From experience, I have nothing to share. Now, I can give you my thoughts of what I think it may, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But
then, it could be.
Why would you pay for that?
Right.
So here's what I'm saying. There's a conference, and I'm going to use tact because I don't want anyone taking this the wrong way. There was a conference that I considered going to. I actually did. There's a conference that's going on this weekend, or Friday and Saturday, I believe, of this week.
Yeah.
Second and third.
Mm-hmm. Second and third.
In Atlanta, Preachers Academy. Mm-hmm. And again, please not the emails. I like Darius Daniels. Before the pandemic, he was probably one of my favorite preachers to hear. And I'm not an exceptional preacher, but I know it when I hear it. I'm just saying, he's one of my favorite.
Let me look directly into the camera when I say this, okay? This is Moten being humble.
No.
Okay?
People will start with, like, you're hating because he is what you're not. And
no, of course, that's always the defense because, let's not worry about the argument. Let's go straight to the ad hominem attack. Right. Yeah, whenever people have no argument, that's what they do is ad hominem attack.
And I get it. And so I was considering going. Mm-hmm. And because I was considering going, I was looking through some information about going, and it's Darius Daniels and Keon Henderson. And mm-hmm. Again, as far as preaching is concerned, Darius was one of my all-time favorites. He's definitely in the list of top 10, maybe top 15 all time.
Okay.
For me, he's just that good.
Okay.
Or at least was. Matter of fact, the first thing I see when I get up in the morning is a quote from Darius Daniels.
Wow.
I mean, that's how much I like him.
Okay.
And so I was looking into the information, considering going to Preachers Academy, whatever, him and Pastor Henderson, and I saw this additional forum.
Okay.
That they were doing an additional separate thing to encourage preachers' wives.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, that could be, I could turn this into a, family trip, getaway, whatever, and look just to see who was doing what. And so it's Darius's wife, and of course Pastor Keon Henderson's wife, Shawnee O'Neal, and I just said immediately, like, I'm a pass. So hard.
Were they because now registration is closed, so you can't see it anymore. Was it they were co-teaching, or were they each teaching their own class?
It just, I don't even know the format. It just gave that total format and threw them out front, those names out front.
Right.
So I don't know if it was just going to be some time of, encouragement, exhortation, or actually time of instruction. But I looked at it and I considered, I said, you know what? And here's why it's a hard pass. And again, I'm not hating. I'm not hating. It's a hard pass for me is because I think Pastor Henderson and Shawnee, they've been married shorter than a year.
Yeah.
I know he does a lot and she does a lot with him. Mm-hmm. But still, they've only been married shorter than a year. Mm-hmm. So it's like, from experience, how much would you be able to instruct or enlighten a preacher's wife?
Yeah.
And again, I'm not hating. Man, listen, there's, and I'm not, again, because I don't want anybody to consider it hate, so I'm not going to say a name. There's a guy that I love and respect, whatever, that wrote some literature about organizing, founding a church. And of course, because I'm there, and I want to read everything.
Right.
But then I'm looking at the person that wrote it. It's like,
right. You're still trying to figure it out.
You organized along the same time I did.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as experience.
Right.
Well, because again, setting structure for church is just more than the surface that we would see.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you don't see what needed to be done when you started until 5-10 years up the road.
Well, see, there's a reason for that. So there's a rule of thumb to be considered an expert. And the rule of thumb to be considered an expert in a field is that you've done it for 10,000 hours. You've done 10,000 hours of work in a given arena. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So if we were to take preaching or something that's church related, most of the time what the preacher's doing and delivering is going to add up to about 2 hours per week. It takes a little over 8 years to reach 10,000 hours if we're doing whatever we're doing, preaching, teaching, that craft, whatever craft you're doing, to reach 10,000 hours at 2 hours a week takes a hair over 8 years. Does that make sense?
Right.
And so, and this is kind of like a standard in terms of business. That's why the 10-year mark is a big thing.
Right.
Someone that has 10 years of experience in this industry or that industry or using this tool or technique or whatever, you're considered an expert at 10,000 hours because you've done it at that point so many times
that
you can be considered an expert in your field. And at this point, we're, in terms of their marriage, and to my knowledge, she's not ever been a first lady or a minister's wife before.
Now again, she has some other things that she's great at. That if she did a conference on, business and creating revenue and
but
that
if you
kind
look
of
at
thing.
the flyer, it's very slick as far as how it's promoted. So if you read closely, it says VIP wives, up close 2-day experience with Shamika and Shawnee. Okay. Experience could be anything.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Experience could be, because I've been a part of, a church where, there was a Women's Day experience where, we chartered a bus and sent them out shopping. You see what I'm saying? And that was a retreat. That's an experience.
Right.
It could be a retreat. It could be this. It could be that. So, but still, there's a point that the experience is with this person
right.
that is being promoted. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. To be the expert in the same vein as, for lack of a better term, I'm using just a normal industry, headliners. You got the headliners
right.
of, Pastor Keon Henderson and Darius Daniels. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. They're in a teaching capacity.
Right.
But still, I think when it comes to, and I think that's why some people struggle to find good conferences to go to that are worth the money.
That's why I don't do. That's why my conference regimen is the same old.
Let's just get into it, because if you're going to have somebody that's going to dust off that conference or convention sermon that they've already done around the country
right.
for so many years, and it's, okay, so it's like, why should I pay whatever the asking price is
to hear something that's already on YouTube?
The travel, the hotel, right. Or let's say it's someone with expertise, but they're still doing the same thing. Or you have someone without expertise that's doing something new, but is it worth the registration, the hotel, the airfare, or whatever travel arrangements, and the time off from work and ministry, all that different stuff?
The biggest thing that I spend that I can't get back
is my time.
Right. I could have been doing something else. And again,
right.
Just in this season of life, my time is probably the most valuable thing, because with having a lot to do and a short time to do it, it's like I don't have much time. Let it be some impactful time if I'm going to go.
Because I've had some good experiences going to conferences, and I've had some poor experiences. And sometimes the good experience and the bad experience was 2 different years at the same conference.
Wow.
So it's not just a bullet just because, every year this is coming around and,
right.
Done deal. Got,
right.
It's a win.
Right.
And again, it's subjective, because what one person at a certain level, in terms of their growth and development, mm-hmm. that may be tremendously edifying to them. Mm-hmm. But for someone else at a different, stage
right.
in their growth,
right.
that may no longer be as impactful.
Right, right. And I guess that's why probably one of my favorite or most adored conferences that I haven't been in a couple years now was the E.K. Bailey. And
I enjoyed E.K. Bailey.
The initial, my initial years of going
mm-hmm.
was, a great time of, recharge and encouragement and whatever. And the people they brought in were experts.
Right.
I've been preaching, Shawn, since '99.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody asked me to participate in a preaching conference, I would not, because I don't feel like I've been preaching at a level high enough, long enough to give any kind of how-to to preachers.
I would disagree.
Not that you would have to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I appreciate, that
But I'm just like I'm just so in this generation, it's like everybody wants to be that.
Right.
But if you don't have anything of worth and of impact to share,
Right.
if we just hanging out,
right,
you know, and maybe
why do you need $300 for me to hang out? I mean, you know,
why I gotta fly there?
We can hop on a Zoom.
Yeah.
You know, you know what I'm saying? But that's the thing is that, and again, every conference, convention, let's stick with conferences, you know, obviously they do have to, turn a profit. So I'm not saying anything about, in terms of charging money, because speakers have to be paid.
Right. You got to pay for the venue.
Sometimes the venue has, if you're not doing it at the church, even if you are doing it at the church,
the venue, right.
You still have other expenses,
right.
That are incurred. You need staff, you need logistics, you need to print all the binders, and you need all these different things that go along with hosting a lot of people at a particular place at a particular time. So it's not about the money, but it's like, at what point, there's a value tipping point where where this experience is worth more than the money.
Right.
And that's what leads to the decision to make a purchase.
Hey, and I've been to a couple where I was like, this was
somebody tell
more
Kevin
than
Cato,
worth. Right.
I want my money back. Or
this was more than worth the venue.
More than worth it.
Or like, I could have just took a guy's weekend.
Right.
Like you know what I'm saying?
We for the fellowship. You know what I'm saying? If that was
if you come back and that's all it is. I used to go to Urban Alternative every year with Tony Evans.
Mm-hmm.
Never came up dry.
Mm-hmm.
Never, not once.
Yeah.
Always impactful. Always encouraging. It was just good.
Right.
Then they switched some things, whatever, and it kind of went away. It kind of got renamed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Again, E.K. Bailey was always good.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
I went to Cutting It Straight.
Cutting It Straight, from what I hear.
Man, that year that I went, I came back with a whole duffel bag full of books.
Right.
Full.
I'm going to tell you who had a good one here in the city. A church strategies conference. Yes, he did. Yeah. Bishop Hill.
Okay.
Church strategies conference are good. You come back with a lot of information.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of information is signature to his context.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for you to implement it, you would have to, recreate, cut it down, whatever. But I mean, a lot of good, so I've been to some good conferences, but I don't want to shoot in the dark either. And when you tell me that one of the keynote instructors is going to be somebody who's been at it for,
less than an expert time, and then also another thing is, one thing that's frustrating is whenever a conference gets put up and they list who's supposed to be there, but not what they're doing.
Right.
So, okay, well, what is being, I understand who, but what is being taught and when, and give me, an organization, give me a schedule, that shows, hey, on this day, this is what's going on. This is what this person's teaching.
Right.
A, B, and C, day 1, day 2, day 3,
right.
Whatever. And sometimes I see that lacking, where it's like, okay, here's a list of all these people that are going to be involved, but nobody's saying what anybody's going to talk about.
Right.
And so it's kind of like, well, what are you teaching here?
And then some have the EK. You without knowing who's doing what, and you see the list of names, it's like I got to go because or the same with DeWitt Proctor. That's another the good one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could, but when you just say, hey, it's gonna be Pastor Keon, and Darius, and our friends, it's like, oh, and then by the way, you can bring your wife, and
right. But there's no list, and I can't speak to this because this was not in consideration for me. Just wasn't. I wasn't gonna be able to make it regardless, even if I wanted to go. But this was not I heard about it, but this was not in consideration because in my world, the end of the month, beginning of the month, can't do
Crunch
it.
time, right?
Can't do it. We got to close out the books at the office and all that different stuff, blah, blah, blah. That's just blackout dates for me.
Right.
So if you want me to go to a conference, the ideal is going to be somewhere in the middle of the month, Tuesday through Thursday, midweek. Right. I really don't like doing weekends because, again, that, interrupts workflow.
Right.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, so for me.
I mean, it was a consideration for all of, a day and a half, but I mean, and again,
and it wasn't, and like I said, the consideration had nothing to do with who was there. But just looking at it, like I'm just looking at a flyer, and maybe there was more information. I did look at the website, and everything's kind of locked down because registration is closed.
Right.
So maybe it was there.
Right.
But there just doesn't seem to be a lot of information. You would think that if you're going to do this more than once, that you would have, 9:30 to 9:45 this session.
Right.
10 o'clock to 10:45 this session, 11 o'clock to 11:45 this break.
Right.
And show like, hey, this is what we're doing. But if we're just gonna get in a room and talk and see what happens,
yeah, and I guess it puzzled me and it struck me odd because we are in that generation where it doesn't matter what you do, right? Like, and we've talked about it, personally. Like, it's we value who you are, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not what's said,
right?
It's who says it.
Right.
So, I can stand up and say something and they'll be like, man, Moten crazy for that.
Right.
Then somebody else of a popular name can stand up and say the same thing.
Right.
And it's like, so profound.
Right. It's profound because of who said it. The lights were down. The smoke was up.
Right.
The music was playing. All the emotional enhancements. And now it's deep.
Right. And that's like, ooh.
Deep.
And again, I never want us to get there. So it's just like, hey, listen, I have no mechanical inclinations whatsoever. I would not have a conference to encourage mechanics.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't, you know what I'm saying? And so at a certain point, and I know our culture is different, but at a certain point.
Website looks good though.
But I mean,
professionally done.
Hey, yeah, I mean,
now it all looks great.
Now, if you're doing a conference about that kind of stuff, then yes, I'm all in.
What do you mean that kind of stuff?
Both, I mean, and just teams, and I know they both have teams working with, but both, Darius and Pastor Henderson have cornered the market on how they present themselves. Social media, their
yeah. Not now if they
unmistakable.
Now if they did something now that
that
might be what they mean by I saw something that said preacherpreneur. Maybe they're highlighting that.
No, it was and again it might not be on there. It was like how to package sermons, context sermons. That wasn't it didn't have anything to do with that. So, and that's why, for me, it's a hard pass. But again, I just, no hate at all. I'm just saying, if I'm going to go sit at the feet of somebody, somebody asked me one time, and I think I told you this, somebody asked me and said, hey, would you be my mentor? So I'm like, no, I could be your study buddy, but I don't, mentors are Lee Skinner.
Right.
Mentors are, Ken Campbell and Ken's gonna be mad thinking I'm calling him old, but or guys that's been doing
sages.
Sages that's been doing this for a while, that have seen every area that can encourage you in every vein of not just somebody, a flash in the pan, because. Just because you start out, good doesn't necessarily mean it'll end that way. And so, again, I know that's who we are as a culture, but just threw me weird.
No, I mean, I totally get it because, that's something that we got to look out for. That people have to look out for is, hey, where you got to consider the source.
Right.
With anything, whether you're, researching something on Google, you got to consider the source.
Right.
You're hearing someone articulate a position, you got to consider the source. And I think that sometimes we can get, like you said, we get lost in the cult of personality. That we forget about, what is it, is it correct?
Right. Right. Right.
Is it, is it good? What is being discussed, not just who is discussing it.
Right.
And so, and that's just overall, struggle for me in terms of evaluating, what am I going to participate in? What am I not going to participate in? Especially when it comes to conferences, conventions, and any type of, collective
we
thing.
do it all the time. Mm-hmm. We do it without even knowing. Mm-hmm. I'm earlier, before we started recording, I was pulling the stuff out my bag, and you saw that book.
Yeah.
And you was like, good read? I'm like, it's okay. First thing you asked was,
who is he?
Who is this guy?
Right.
Because
that's what I want to know. Yeah, I want to know. Okay, I see that you authored a book, but it's like, hey, who are you?
Are you authoring this book?
Because I need to understand. I need to understand where your voice is coming from. What has developed your voice? Right. So I see a name, I see this published title. Okay, great. But I want to know, who are you? Where'd you go to school? What are your beliefs? All that stuff.
If you're writing about leadership, in what capacity have you served and how long?
Right. Because I saw a bunch of stuff about other people that endorsed the book. This politician from this state says you're great. This politician from this state says you're great. Okay, great. But if you're telling me about leadership, who have you led?
Right. No, and that's what I said. We do it all the time.
So I'm just like,
we do it all the time. Look, we do it all the time, and that's why it's weird that in certain lanes we don't do it. Like I had a friend. Hey, we're gonna throw a dinner at the house. Who's cooking? Such. Well, she was the chef at. Okay.
Yeah.
Because.
Right.
I gotta know.
Right.
Like and
can't either. Hey. Let me put this PSA out there right now. You can't eat everybody cooking.
No.
You can't do it?
You'll be sick or no good.
I saw something on social media. It was a picture of like a bowl of chicken marinating and a hand that was in the bowl, which is normal and natural. Mm-hmm. And there's a tagline that says, "Don't forget to marinate your chicken." But if you look closely, the hand, there's dirt all up under the fingernails. They haven't been trimmed, all this different stuff, and it's like doing the right thing the wrong way.
Just turned me completely off.
Yeah, it's like
so I'll probably never eat another piece of chicken.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Again, consider the source.
Yeah,
you gotta consider the source. Yeah. Just because anybody can get up and say anything.
Right.
And it's not to say that someone with little experience can't have insights. That's not to say that.
That's not to say that.
Because sometimes fresh eyes
see better.
Right, but it's not fully formed and developed because there needs to be some time,
man,
for those 10,000 hours to set in.
Giving me insight and giving me instruction are two different things.
That's an excellent point.
It's two different things.
But that's because I have ideas for, books and things and whatnot. Right. But the thing is, I'm waiting to get that decade in the books in those areas before
What one book have you heard me talk about? The one that I'm working on.
Oh yeah.
I've done that.
No, I know.
Ups, downs, I've seen it all.
Right, but you've seen it.
So
you got well more than 10,000 hours in that arena.
Right. I could take the Bible and my 25 years of marriage and say, hey, listen, here's a
right. And the proof is in the pudding.
Right.
Because you can present, okay, here's for myself and those that are connected, here are these successful marriages, and this is the recipe.
Right.
Our
church is a year and some change. Mm-hmm. I would not write a book concerning organizing a church.
Right. Well, you're still going through it.
It just puzzles me. Like, because again, a lot of people will read at this point, and we can move on. At this point, it's borderline conjecture.
Oh yeah,
because it's not really tried, tested, and proven.
Right. It's just done.
It's just been, you know what I'm saying?
You're done, but you're not finished.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
or no, you're finished, but you're not done.
And like,
right.
You've tested it, but you haven't. It hasn't been long enough to prove it.
What's the name? Further on up the road.
Yeah, I mean, so again, a lot of people will build.
Bobby Blue Bland, that was the guy. Farther up the road.
Yes. I mean, a lot of people will build their lives on your conjecture.
And we're held, and here's the deal. Once you take it to like the guy that wrote the business book, okay? He and to my knowledge, he's not a pastor, is he?
What?
The author of the book?
I don't know.
Okay. But either way, even if he is a pastor, in terms of a congregational sense, he's not responsible for souls.
Okay.
For somebody that buys his book.
Right.
Now, when you're teaching people in the congregation in terms of members of your church, or you're instructing pastors, preachers that are going to go take this and think that, hey, this is...
build on it.
And build on it and build ministry visions and mission statements and create preaching calendars and all these different things, what we do in that arena, we're held accountable. We're held to a stricter judgment. So we got to be careful, especially in our context, when it comes, because you don't ever want to cause anyone to stumble.
No. And again, like, in writing and presenting in certain venues, a lot of it is what I think. Mm-hmm. And that's why preaching needs to be all what he said.
Right.
So, I could do that.
Thus saith the Lord.
Yeah, I could do that because that's what he said. Mm-hmm. When you start thinking about, how I see it, mm-hmm. logically, what I think, whatever, I need to make sure everything's everything by experience. I don't want to lead nobody in the, wrong direction. So it just right. That was my soapbox for today. This comment's weird.
No. I mean, when you shared it with me before we got on the air, I'm like, that is a little odd.
Yeah.
And again, and that's not a knock, because I mean, anybody that's been doing something for 9 months, how often do you see them, on a flyer, on a poster for something you've been doing for 9 months?
Man, you know how many jobs I've had for 9 months and quit. Man, most of the companies I work for, you're not even fully vested.
Right.
After 9 months.
Right.
You ain't really in here all the way.
Right.
You still tempt a permanent.
Right.
You ain't even, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
This comment's weird. And again, no hate. I know somebody
it's not
like that, but
we pray that everyone get there safely, and hopefully it'll be good and edifying and all that. And I hope we hope it'll be great.
And I hope they do it again. But I'll consider going.
But also, I wouldn't be shocked if there's somebody that's been a first lady for 10 years that's gonna show up, with their husband and go to this, expecting one thing and getting another.
But I think, honestly, and this is just me, and I could be wrong, I just think in the minds of a lot of people, the drive is about connection and fellowship.
And if that's the case, then that's called what it is.
And if that's the case,
but see, that's why I think
we don't have to do right.
That's why I think the word experience,
right,
is in there.
Right.
It's not classroom. It's not instruction. It's not workshop.
Right.
It's not any of those things. We're going to use the most generic term there is.
Right.
Experience.
Hey, and if it's experience, that's cool.
Hey, when you walk in Fiesta, you experience that cold breeze.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about when you walk in Fiesta?
Hey, what y'all got the air on in here?
The air is on 68.
And it's blowing
full
high.
blast.
Yeah.
As soon as you walk through the door, you experience.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't really, what is an experience?
Right.
So you can't really
And if
you can't really not deliver on an experience,
right? Because it's going to be that
it's
no
an
matter
experience.
what it is.
Yeah, it's going to be that. No
I can
matter
slap
what.
you in the face. That's an experience.
That's an experience.
Hey, listen. If
Speaking
you're
of people getting slapped in the face. Speaking of people getting slapped in the face, you gave me my segue, man. So, Chris Rock
rocked out your socks.
Yeah, Chris Rock is about to voice his response. Let's just say that. He's going to voice his response for the slap heard around the world.
I can't wait.
So he is set up on this Saturday, March the 3rd at 9 o'clock Central to go live with a new comedy special entitled Selective Outrage. And I love the title. Oh, my goodness. I love the title.
But see, Chris has always been good at...
He's been good. Tambourine was good. Tambourine was good. I like Tambourine. And
what was the other one? Was it Black? His other one. But here was the surprise for me. And I guess he's increasing his bag. I wonder how much did Netflix pay him?
All the money. ATM, all the money. I don't even know the exact figure, but I'm telling you, because Chris Rock said at the beginning, he said, I'm not going to respond or say anything until they pay me. He knew he had it. It's like, because people are going to pay. And apparently, Netflix, was the high bidder. And that's the place to go. I mean, that's where Dave Chappelle went.
Right.
So if you're a top tier comedy talent, that's where you go.
I wonder. I'm going to see if I can. Oh, but this was. So when did he get slapped?
Last year, Oscars.
So it's last March, or before then. So last year, March the 30th of 2022, Netflix paid Chris Rock $40 million for 2 specials, according to Hollywood.
Oh, yeah. He's coming home with a bag. He's coming home with a bag. So, and also, now, this is something I've never heard of for a comedy special. This isn't like boxing, pay-per-view, anything like that. There's a pre- and post-show program to the comedy special. This is interesting.
Yeah, this is what it was. Chris,
and this also going to be live, by the way. It's going to be live.
Right, which is, and I'm interested to see how that's going to work.
Wow.
On Netflix.
Yeah. Because I don't think I've ever seen a live.
So the $40 million was just for this one special.
Oh, yeah. So this is more than that, right? He's getting more.
Can somebody please slap me?
Hey, it's not about getting slapped. It's about who slaps you.
Hey, well,
again, cult of personality. If somebody off the street just slapped you, you don't get $20 million.
Won't even make the news.
You don't get $20 million. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
you'd be lucky if you got $20.
Man, well, y'all call Will, tell him to slap me.
Right?
I'll say something about Jada all day long. Slap me.
You
getting $40 million for one slap.
$40 million for a slap.
Oh.
But yeah. So I think that this would be interesting. This would be interesting. But yeah, he's gonna. So he's gonna be taking jabs back at this whole jabs, uppercuts.
Of course.
Left hooks.
So
overhand rights.
So that's Saturday at 9:30. So here's my encouragement to anybody that is going to corporate worship on Sunday morning, like Big Mama now. Lay your clothes and stuff.
Right, lay it out. Yeah, get your stuff ready before you press play. Get your stuff ready. Go straight to bed right after, okay? Make sure you eat before, so you can't be like, well, I got to wait for it to digest. No. Eat before it starts. Eat before it starts. Enjoy the program. Go to sleep, and we will love to see your face in the place.
This is going to be real good. Yeah, this is good. I mean,
and then I'm looking next Sunday for the selective outrage sermons.
Of course, they're coming.
Yeah, they're coming.
They're coming.
Look at your neighbor. It's coming.
Oh man,
it's coming.
Man, well, Will thought it was over with, and Chris finna get it all back up again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is
about to get double for his trouble.
This is going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting. But I'm definitely going to watch it. So this time next week, we'll have some
perhaps
reviews
we can review.
Some reviews and commentary. Because I'm in it.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Mess around with me. If I get too sleepy, I'll cancel church Sunday. I'm watching that definitely.
It's kind of like the married couple. They're in bed. They're waking up Sunday morning, and the wife gets up and starts moving around, and she's almost ready, and she's trying to move the husband. Oh, I don't want to go to church. Well, come on, we said that we would. We need to go to church, so on and so forth. And it's like, well, I don't like those people over there. They don't like me. Da 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 da. And it's like, well, you're the pastor, so you're gonna need to go.
So you gotta go.
You gotta go.
I was trying to think. So what else? Was going on that?
Man, we got situation that with one Micheal B. Jordan.
I saw that.
Did you hear about it?
I saw that. But he was so smooth in his response.
Did you see the look on his face? He's like,
yeah.
It's like, what it's about to be. You already know. And but yeah, so apparently he was on the red carpet for the premiere of Creed 3 that is either out now or coming out soon. Okay, yeah. So they did the premiere. It's a normal standard fare when you have the Hollywood premiere. So you're gonna have all the actors come out, and you're gonna have the correspondents from different outlets. You have the TMZ people, the Entertainment Weekly, all that different. So all the different news outlets are interviewing. So as he's passing by, there's a young lady that he recognizes that comes up to interview him, and it turns out that I think her name's L'Oreal, or
something like
L'Oreal,
that.
something like that. And so they went to high school together.
She brought it up. Oh, I've been.
But before she said a word, you could see the look on his face.
When she brought it up, he
had that look on his face. I'm about to get her.
Hey, he was
I'm about to get her.
Okay, Gap, I'm getting in.
Right.
So, because she said we go back, we went to something science in Newark, New Jersey, I believe. And so he immediately responds, "Yeah, I'm that corny dude."
Yeah.
She said, I never called you that. I was misquoted.
She was misquoted.
Who misquoted you in high school?
Right. Misquoted for sure.
And then he started to give her some of the driest responses that I've ever heard.
Yeah, dude.
What's your favorite restaurant? The lobby of whatever hotel I'm staying.
Did you really say that?
Yes. I was like, man, just interview.
I think I missed it because I was too busy laughing. Oh, man.
I said, just end the interview. Then he started talking to other people while she was talking to him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was purposely. And she said in an interview later with somebody else.
Yeah, she denied.
Yeah, she denied it wasn't her. It was her circle. Whatever.
Guilty by association.
She said that they did call him corny because his name was Michael Jordan.
But what?
And she was like, and he was no Michael Jordan. And okay, and I get it. And like in high school, kids can be rude.
Of course.
And then she said he would walk around with headshots, with his headshots. And so everybody was like, man, what you gonna do with that, whatever. Well, turns out, now years later, he is.
But see, in New York, calling a guy corny, that's just like a word that's said all the time. It's like people say now, he's lame.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it wasn't, obviously it's not good, but she also said, said that he was a nice, corny guy. So basically they were just making fun of him because maybe at the time he didn't have, the style, the attitude, because he wasn't Micheal B. Jordan yet the way we know him today.
So here's the life lesson.
Everybody grows up.
Hey, be careful how you handle people because you never know
where you'll be
and where they'll be. Just imagine how many doors he could open for her if he wanted to. If he wanted to?
If he felt like it.
But his look at her was immediate.
Oh, man.
I can't stand you.
You're right, exactly. Exactly. Right. Like, and he could have just, but I think it's like he dealt with her because he's a professional. And I think it was also kind of like, this is a teachable moment.
Right.
Right. This is a teachable moment. It's almost like, Mike Jones narrated this story. In one of his songs. Back then, they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They all on me.
And I mean,
that's what the man said.
I don't, and
you saw it lived out in front of you.
And you can't be mad. And you can't be mad at him for responding like that.
No, and I think that he gave enough to let her know that, hey,
I'm not feeling you really.
Yeah. I want to make sure but he wasn't unprofessional. He wasn't mean, anything like that. I don't think anybody's accused him of that. I'm sure someone will. Someone will probably say he's being mean.
He was straight up dry.
But dry and mean is different.
He was short. I wouldn't call it mean.
He wasn't mean.
He wasn't mean-spirited, but it wasn't his normal.
Because mean, he could have just completely disregarded her presence. He
wasn't his normal
and snubbed her
self. Yeah.
But yeah, he wanted to make sure that she knew. And everybody that saw this knew what it was.
Well, she did. When she brought it up, I don't think he would have. But she brought it up. We go back. We went to high school together, whatever.
Let me tell you how far we go back.
Straight in.
Yeah. Let me tell you what that was like.
Yeah, I'm that corny dude.
Yeah. God. And then, of course, she has to admit now, well, you're not, corny anymore. Yeah. But
she called him, in that other interview, she called him fine 4 or 5 times. But it's like, who cares?
Who cares? That ship has sailed.
And on its way back. Like, it's
way out into the distance.
Long gone.
Yeah. But.
Wow.
But, yeah, well, I mean, congratulations to Micheal B. Jordan on all his success.
Of course.
And his escape from corniness.
Yeah. And now he's super loaded and A-list, the talk of Hollywood.
So,
and I usually don't do movies in the theater, but we're going to see Creed.
Oh, no, Creed's going to be good.
Yeah.
Creed's going to be good. And then, what's his name? Jonathan Majors is in it as well.
Yeah.
He's, been putting up some good content. He had that one photo shoot that was a little sketchy.
Yeah.
But other than that,
and then
I think he did a really good job in one of the Marvel movies that just came out. He's one of the main characters.
See, and
he was in. I didn't watch the series, but he was in this series that apparently a lot of people did like Lovecraft Country, something like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I didn't watch the show, but I saw that it got a lot of play and people liked it.
And even the photo shoot, we would call it sketchy, but it's like that's that fashion.
I'm gonna use my moten voice.
It was in all the way. It was in. But I'm getting ready to watch my Lakers play last night, and can't think of his name. Plays for Memphis. He walks into the arena with just a vest on, Like,
Oh, that's who that dude was?
Yeah.
Somebody sent me this. And I'm like,
Right.
man, this dude looked like Shamar Moore dressed up as Stone Cold Steve Austin.
and that's what I was like. He had on tennis shoes and all. It's just that fashion thing. And then watching Russell Westbrook walk in the arena last night, it was like, what? Who dressed him? But that again, that's just that fashion. So I don't know if he was
styled by.
Yeah,
I want to know who was the consultant.
It could have been the photo shoot. Could have just been on that, that
I mean,
fashion.
it's fashion. It's, and a lot of times people do. And he even said it. It's good to get people talking about stuff. So he's got some content out right now. He's got a big movie out. Well, actually two, because he's got, which I'm sure the Marvel movie Ant-Man, Quantumania. That's going to do millions and millions and millions of dollars. Creed is going to do millions and millions and millions of dollars. Right. He's getting paid off each. So he's got a lot of content out there. So, all press is good press.
Right.
You're talking about him. We're talking about him. So it's like, hey.
Yeah. Even though he was on a magazine cover with a house robe, I mean, all press is good press.
I bet you this.
A duster. That's what Big Mama call it, a duster.
I bet you more women than men are going to go see Creed.
I'm sure.
Creed 3. Sure. Oh yeah.
I mean, that's almost what every movie
I even saw an ad. They're playing directly into it. Tell your boyfriend it's a boxing movie. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude. So I mean, they know what they got. They then they're leaning into it.
Yeah.
I'd imagine if you were just sit there with one of the clickers, just counting people.
I'm sure. I
bet you it'd be 2-1.
I'm sure. But I mean, you know what? And this isn't a segue.
Okay.
This isn't a segue. But if it was, I don't do shout outs, but if I did.
Right.
Even just that whole model of like dating, because men don't go to the movies.
Yeah, that's not. I don't think I've ever been like, "Hey, Moten, what you doing, man? Let's go to the movies." No, that's never has it ever.
I would
that would never even cross my mind.
Hey, I do stuff for Erica that I wouldn't do for anyone else.
Yeah.
The movie thing is just like, oh no, that's not.
You don't do it? Not even with the wife, bro?
No.
Why?
Why go pay for the movie to watch me? Sit still in a dark room for 2 hours. I'm going to go to sleep.
You're missing the point.
No, when it come out,
you're missing the deposit in the emotional piggy bank, man.
No.
Yes.
I'm in a dark room. We can do that at home. When it comes out on Hulu or Netflix, let me know and we'll watch it there.
You're missing opportunity to build. You see what I'm saying? That marital goodwill.
And we can't do it another way?
You can. I mean, it just depends.
Let's go out to eat.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
But man, it's just, there's something about doing, and I can only speak from my experience. And I'm no expert because I've not been married.
I ain't did it for 10 years.
I ain't did it for 10 years. So this is just my observations, and we're coming up on 5 years, but the movies, the going shopping, just going with them.
Oh yeah, shopping's always a way.
No, not even. And here's the deal: not even taking, just going with.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that too often either.
You don't have to do it often. Little dad will do you, but you go. And it's your willingness to do things that they want to do with them. Because eventually you're going to want them to do something with you. Does that make sense? That you want to do. Does that make sense? But Reverend,
maybe once or twice.
But even if not, I enjoy making the deposits in the emotional piggy bank, keeping,
So let me ask you this
good.
then. Since you brought it up, so are the deposits the responsibility of the man to make?
No, I mean, there's an emotional piggy bank for each person.
Right. I mean, but do you think she thinks like you think?
Yeah. Oh, I know she does.
Okay, do you think dating women think like that? You know what?
No, but it comes out in different things. You see what I'm saying? Her deposit in the emotional piggy bank is when she makes my meal preps, when she cooks, you know, and has a nice dinner prepared. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Making sure that, you know, so, you know, we split up, you know, the household duties just like, you know, anybody else. She does more of the cooking and the cleaning, right? I handle all the dry cleaning and all that different stuff that needs to happen. And so, but I try to make it a point once or twice a week to relieve her of having to cook and take her out. Or sometimes she may not want to go out and I'll just bring something in. Does that make sense? Either way. But I've noticed a pattern, you know, and it will go well with me in the land, Reverend, when I maintain this particular pattern. When I deviate, because I've tested this, you know, whenever
tested it,
I've tested, you know, I've tested it because when I adjust, I notice differences. You see what I'm saying? And that's just me and my experience, you know, and the same thing will happen on her side,
right?
You know, answers to certain requests could be different based on what's been going on.
Right. How we've been flowing.
You see what I'm saying?
We have got to. I'm gonna do my best. If you go, I'm a.
I already reached out.
You reached out to him?
Yeah.
We have to get Chris on here. So, I mean, Chris, if you're watching, if you can, you know, over the course of the next, you know, few weeks, whatever, because he made a statement. I saw a video. And he made a statement, and I felt like he was really, really on to something. That the
but I want to reserve
that conversation. Yeah.
For, you know, if we can work everything out schedule wise and blah blah blah.
And I could be misinterpreting, you know, his mindset, but it sounded like what he was saying was that, you know, the responsibility of dating was, you know, in this generation was women trying to be traditional, just solely giving that responsibility to men versus helping along in trying to get to know each other.
Well, it takes two to tango. So I'll say this much. It takes two to tango. So for someone that says that they're waiting to be found, I get that, but also at the same time, how visible are you making yourself?
Right.
So anybody that now here's something that I will claim some level of expertise in. If you're trying to build, you know, a company, business, whatever the case may be, the first battle that you have is the battle with obscurity. The biggest problem every entrepreneur faces, and usually the first problem that every entrepreneur faces, or business owner or manager of someone else's business, does that make sense? Is you're in obscurity. Not enough people know who you are, what you do, and where you do it.
I get it.
You see what I'm saying? So similar fashion for a young lady that's, you know, of a marriageable age,
right? You
know, she also has to make herself easy to be found.
And again, I agree. That's why I feel like he was on to something.
Right.
Because if I tell you I found a job.
Right. There was also a posting.
There was a posting. I knew where to go. That, you know,
right.
They weren't, it wasn't shut door. It was an open invitation because even though I was looking, they were looking too.
Right.
And I think he's on to something because I feel like in this era of dating, that's not what it is. It is, you find me, you bend over backwards to make me happy. It's you.
Well, that's why a lot of guys aren't even approaching anymore. It's getting bad. And like I've heard some you know, seen some videos where someone actually, a young lady actually asked like, hey, hit me in the comments or make a response, stitch this video, you know, whatever. How come y'all aren't approaching us anymore? Well, you know, some people gave some responses. You know, the summary is this, is that, hey, some of y'all don't know how to act when somebody approaches you.
Hey.
So number one, somebody approaches you and you don't like them. You tear this person down just because they approach you.
Right.
who you think you are, and I'm this and you're that, and boo and blah blah blah. So no wonder people are sliding in DMs, because hey, if I shoot my shot in terms of sending somebody a DM and they're not feeling it, whatever, okay, at least I didn't get embarrassed.
Right.
In public.
Right.
Does that make sense? So ladies have to take into account, hey, if you want to be approached, you've got to be approachable.
Right. And then
you've got to be able to be approached.
Right. And Kevin Samuels spent the last 5 years of his life trying to express the difference between what you can get and what you want to get.
Right.
And a lot of women, because they want to get this, when the can get guy.
Well, I mean,
them, it's an immediate shutdown.
And you know, I get a front row seat to this because I see this all the time. People that got Ferrari desires but Ford abilities. You know, so you know, it's just, it is what it is. Right. And so, but we're always wanting to get the absolute best. That's just human nature. You want to get the absolute best for whatever. So then, of course, with the me generation, in terms of everything's about me, in terms of social media and, you know, people that take, you know, 20 pictures of themselves a day and, you know, got a picture of themselves on their wallpaper and, you know, all kinds of different stuff, blah, blah, blah. That's the generation.
Right.
You know, I've never walked into someone's office and seen them have a picture of themselves. But if you look at people's phones, especially young ladies,
it's me.
They are their own wallpaper.
Right.
They are their own home screen.
Right.
Because it's about me.
Right.
So now you take that person that's absorbed in themselves, and you take, you know, a new generation of the Gen Z that are already kind of socially awkward. They're used to everything being online. You throw in the pandemic,
right?
You know,
right,
and erase some for some high school students. Like, I feel really bad for, you know, the kids that were going into high school or coming out of high school during the pandemic, because they got robbed. I mean, think about it. If you were graduating in 2020.
Evan did. Well, both Evan and Tay.
I mean, what did prom look like?
Evan they didn't even have
They
one.
didn't have. Exactly.
Have one. But he wasn't going anywhere.
Well, I mean, that's
so
a whole different, you know.
He's weirdo supreme. So, you know.
But what I'm saying is that, you know, there is a balance. There's things that young men ought to do and young women ought to do that make themselves approachable and desire to approach.
See, but I think, and I can't wait to get him on so he can clear it up for himself. I think that's where he was going. But he was saying the view in this generation is women want to take the traditional mindset. You do everything. You come find me. You make me happy. You do this. You do that. And I'm going to do nothing. So again, like the standard is, usually women know what they want to get. They don't know what they want to give. So like my daddy was he was, you know, much like your dad, the great get guy. Daddy was, my mom didn't work. Dad was going to take care of everything.
Same thing.
You know, she couldn't come out of pocket. He was going to make sure you got, you know, whatever. But also that's what, you know, my mom got. But in return, my mom gave excellent domestic.
Right.
My mom
homemaking,
used to iron
housekeeping.
sheets.
Yeah. No, same thing.
And, you know, she used to iron sheets. So it's like, and I'll tell any young woman, you can't expect to get someone like my dad if you're not willing to be someone like my mom.
This is what frustrates me whenever, because I've seen this conversation online where it's like, you know, what do you bring to the table? Right. And then some lady will say, well, I am the table.
No, Miss Lady Ma'am, we didn't mean that.
You're wooden with four legs?
Yeah,
I mean, what are you talking about?
Right.
No, that's not what we mean. But see, the problem, again, they can, if you ask, who's your ideal man?
Right.
Straight laundry list.
Right.
He's got to be this tall,
6 figures,
this shade.
right.
Yeah, all the sixes. You know?
Right.
6 foot, 6 figures, 6-pack.
Right.
I'm gonna stop right there.
Right.
You know, but that's the deal. It's like, hey,
go to the gym
this is what
6
we
times
need.
a week.
Yeah, all the different stuff. We want all that. What do you bring to the table? Well, I'm honest, or I'm this, or I'm that, or you run down a list of, you know, a mannish resume in terms of all your accomplishments, but not who you are.
Right.
Do you bring peace?
Right.
Are you submissive?
Are you faithful?
Are you faithful? You see what I'm saying?
Are you going
Can you make good decisions?
Hey, the most valuable thing in a relationship for a man is peace of mind. Peace of mind. To know you can do whatever you got to do. You're handling your business. You're doing what you got to do. And everything at the house is okay and taken care of.
Man, all you really got to do is 2 things. It's real simple. Show respect if the man feels respected, and create an environment of peace. That's it. That's it. Yeah. If you do that, oh my goodness, you'll be so far ahead of the rest of the pack, you know. And so, but I think that there has to be an adjustment, because there used to be little subtle ways that men and women communicated that we don't have anymore. Right. Nonverbal communication. So, say the 50s, you know, a young lady had subtle ways to get noticed, to where the guy could notice her and then desire to approach. Right. Does that make sense?
I heard a story like that Sunday, but I'll tell you later.
The dropping of the napkin and the dropping the lipstick and hoping they pick it up and bring it to you.
I never heard this one, though.
Share, Reverend.
Edward Collins, Gregory's daddy, said that he was tasked with teaching Sunday school. Sister O.C. Collins would come into Sunday school class every Sunday. He said, I thought she was interested in the Word of God. She was... She was in there trying to catch me. And she got in the microphone. She said, I got him. They've been married going 60 years.
Can't knock the results.
Hey, yeah. So, but they did have a way of being.
But that's the thing. And I feel like with social media, everything becoming more digital communication, we've lost our interpersonal skills.
Right. I agree.
Or, well, I don't want to say we, but a certain generation.
Right.
You know, because when I was coming up and where you were coming up, these sliding in the DMs wasn't available. You couldn't do that. What are you going to do? Slide in AIM, you know, AOL Instant Messenger, ASL, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, bro, back in the day, that was the closest to sliding in DMs you was going to get. If you got into that. But, you know, before that, it was just the old school, you know, caking it up on the phone.
Right.
You had to talk your way.
Absolutely.
Instead of type your way.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's the problem now. And then if you got approach anxiety from the men, you have, you know, no subtlety.
Right.
From the subtle signs.
Right.
You know, because that's the deal. It's like if a man notices a woman in today's, you know, generation, he's got a lot of calculations he needs to make.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Women are going to get approached.
Right.
The question is, you know, how are they going to judge, rank the person that does approach?
Right.
Does that make sense? But the one that you want to approach, that's where you got to have your antennas up to when you see the one that you want to approach you, how do you subtly give encouragement?
Right.
And that's not with words. But it's not like, hey, come approach me.
Right.
No, it's these subtle things.
And it's not naked snaps on IG.
No, yeah, and it's not IG. But it's not.
It goes back to what Chris said. And I hope he can come on. But what Chris Gordon was saying, but they do have some level of responsibility.
Of course they do.
It's not like somebody's just going to find you in your room, you know.
Of course. That's like if you were looking, like the example you used, if you're looking for a job and you're just sitting at the house, you're not going out and applying, you're not making phone calls, you're not working your network, none of that different stuff. It's like, I guess my right opportunity hasn't found me.
Right, right. It takes two active participants.
I mean, and even if you wanted to take it out of the Christian's context, and just put it into, something more secular, the universe does not respond to need. It responds to desire.
Right. And desires is
you got to go out. There's action.
Right.
Exactly. It's like, hey, there's action.
Right.
It's more than, it's this whole deal, people will try to, with the law of attraction, you just think your way into something.
Yeah, no, that's not going.
That's not it.
Gonna work.
I hate to pull the rug out from under you.
Yeah.
But if you have been subjected to the strong delusion of the law of attraction.
Yeah. I'm excited. I hope he can figure it out, man. Because I would love to talk to him simply because he is I think he's he's a preacher and he's a thinker. Still on his way somewhere. So again, hopefully we can catch this conversation up with Chris Gordon whenever he's available. Shawn, you got anything going on this week?
Man, not this week that I can think of in terms of any public events or anything like that.
I don't have it's just
can't think of any.
No, I'm just on
anniversaries, conferences, nothing.
Me too. I'm just on the grind. So
exactly. Keeping it moving, man.
Yeah.
Enjoy TikTok before Biden shuts it down.
Yeah, and we didn't get to that, which is crazy.
That's kind of a footnote because it's not likely to happen. But there was a United States House panel that did apparently grant authority to, I guess where it would be an executive order that they would go along with an executive order to ban TikTok, not just for government but just period. So, due to national security concerns.
Okay. And if President Biden is listening, you got bigger fish to fry.
Way bigger.
Than
way
TikTok.
Bigger. But,
yeah.
Back to YouTube Shorts.
Right. Or what was the first one?
Vine.
Yeah. Do it for the Vine.
Do it for the Vine.
Do it for the Vine.
I ain't going to do it.
Go on, do it for the Vine.
Go on, yeah.
Listen, thank you for joining us. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're on Apple Podcasts, subscribe and share. If you're on Spotify, please subscribe so that we can increase our platform. And if you have some ideas about directions you want us to talk, you got topics you want us to touch on, please add some comments, send us a message so we'll know. Again, no hate. I know I'm going to get some emails too. No hate.
Always happens.
Yeah, no hate. I love...
to tell the truth is to risk offense.
And that's
to tell the truth is to risk offense. Yeah. But it's all in truth and love.
Yeah.
There's no ill will meant.
Right.
We're just trying to, share our observations of the current context and culture.
Right. Again, thank you for watching. Share, subscribe. Until we see you guys again, take care of each other, pray for each other. All we have is each other. Until we see you next week, grace and peace.